Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I'm so glad you're here because today we're tackling a concept that honestly gets thrown around way too much in boardrooms and pitch meetings, but is rarely ever actually understood. Yep, we're talking about innovation. We're going to completely demystify it today. We're taking it from a chaotic, catch-all buzzword and decoding it into a precise, actionable framework. Whether you're studying business strategy, running a company, or just fascinated by how industries evolve, this is going to fundamentally change how you view market transformation.
Okay, let's take a really quick look at our agenda. We'll start off by busting the innovation myth, map out the two dimensions of strategy, and then shine a massive spotlight on our main character today, radical innovation. Finally, we'll contrast it with the other types and look at how to actually drive strategic implementation.
Kicking things off with Section 1, the innovation myth, and breaking down the chaos.
Before we build up any kind of strategic framework, we really need to clear the foundation. There's this persistent myth out there that to be truly innovative, you have to tear down an entire company and start completely from scratch. So I want to ask you directly, is all innovation created equal? Think about it. When a scrappy, scalable tech startup looking for VC funding says they're innovating, versus when a century-old massive corporation claims the exact same thing, do they actually mean the same thing? No way. Absolutely not. The really crucial point here is that we've got to separate invention from innovation. And invention, well, that might just be a random spark of genius in a total vacuum. But innovation is highly calculated. It's a systematic strategy. Like our sources point out, innovation only occurs when you take that invention and you actually commercialize it. You're using a very specific set of organizational skills to develop a strategic idea that drives a whole enterprise forward.
Moving right along to Section 2, two dimensions of innovation, mapping the strategy.
Now we're about to structure this highly abstract concept into a super tangible matrix. According to our research sources, literally every single innovative move a company makes can be mapped across two specific dimensions. On one axis, we've got technological capabilities, meaning are you just leveraging the tech you already have, or are you inventing brand new technical breakthroughs? And then on the other axis, we have the business model. Does this new idea fit safely into your existing commercial model, or does it demand a completely new way of doing business?
And well, when we cross those two dimensions, we get Pisano's four innovation archetypes: routine, disruptive, radical, and architectural. This matrix is honestly a game changer because it gives us this clear visual landscape of exactly where different strategic risks land. Some are super risky on the tech side, some on the business side, and some on both.
Which brings us to Section 3, Spotlight, Radical Innovation, Extreme Tech, Established Model. Let's see how this builds into the absolute hero of our explainer today. Radical innovation holds this really unique, kind of fascinating space in strategic development because of how it balances extreme risk with established safety. Our sources define it perfectly. They say radical innovation involves a strong focus on deep technological innovation, requiring totally new technical capabilities. It's a literal sprint into the unknown. It demands deep, complex breakthroughs. It is extreme tech. But, and here is the secret weapon, it still fits within and leverages the existing business model. So you're pairing the wild frontier of new science with the cozy, established safety of a legacy market structure.
Let's ground this with some real-world examples. Think about biotechnology in the pharma industry. The underlying science there is radically new. We're talking genetic breakthroughs. But the business model? Patenting a drug, getting it approved, selling it through healthcare providers, that remains exactly the same. Or think about RFID and geographical tagging in supermarkets. The tech is light years ahead of those old paper price tags. But you're still just, walking down an aisle, tossing things in a cart, and buying groceries. The underlying technology is totally disrupted, but the business model itself is fiercely protected and leveraged.
All right, Section 4, Contrasting the Innovation Types, or what radical innovation is not. To truly cement what radical innovation is and why it matters so much to you, we need to briefly contrast it against the other quadrants in our matrix. Notice how disruptive innovation completely flips the script. Disruptive innovation uses existing technological capabilities, but challenges competitors by introducing a completely new business model. Our sources highlight things like the open-source Android operating system or the 1mg online medicine platform. The tech wasn't some radical scientific breakthrough, but the way they monetized and delivered it totally disrupted the market. Radical innovation is the exact opposite of that. Now, compare radical innovation with architectural innovation. Architectural is frankly the most aggressive and challenging form of innovation on the board.
It demands a complete teardown of both the technological capabilities and the business model all at the exact same time. A classic example from our sources is Kodak's incredibly painful entry into digital imaging. I mean, they had to abandon their chemical film tech and their print processing business model all at once. Radical innovation entirely avoids this level of total structural chaos by keeping that old business model intact.
And finally, let's ground ourselves with routine innovation. Here, your flexibility is pretty much capped. Companies rely entirely on their existing tech capabilities and their current business models just to provide upgraded solutions to their current customers. Think of Intel releasing a slightly faster microprocessor. It's totally necessary for survival, for sure, but it's not exactly rewriting the rules of the game.
Okay, final section, Section 5, Driving Strategic Implementation, moving from theory to execution. Now that we've mastered the matrix and fully decoded these innovation types, let's look at how organizations actually put these massive strategic shifts in action. Because, let's be real, theory is great, but execution is where the battle is actually won. When you're trying to implement a strategy, especially something as intense as radical innovation, where do you even start? Well, according to John Kotter's foundational 8-step approach for managing organizational change, the absolute first step is to create a sense of urgency. If nobody feels a pressing need to change, honestly, even the most brilliant technological breakthrough is just going to wither and die in some planning committee.
I want you to consider this staggering number, 460%. That represents the growth in average daily downloads of the Walmart grocery app in March and April of 2020 compared to January of that same year. When the pandemic hit, the urgency was absolute. Walmart rapidly pushed their technological boundaries with that app, while still leaning heavily into their established supermarket business model. They acted on organizational urgency, successfully implemented their tech, and yielded massive real-world rewards, totally cementing their market share during a global crisis.
Which brings us to our final thought. As you look at your own company, your career, or just the industry you follow, take a step back and apply this matrix. Are you just routinely upgrading your existing tech and models hoping that's going to be enough? Or are you actively searching for that radical innovation, that deep, game-changing technological breakthrough that will hypercharge your existing business? Understanding these dimensions is literally the key to seeing the future before it arrives. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this framework helps you decode the innovation happening all around you. Catch you next time.